Welcome back to CARAHCAST, the podcast from CARASoft, the trusted government IT solutions provider. Subscribe to get the latest technology updates in the public sector. I'm Corey Baumgartner, your host from the CARASoft production team. On behalf of CARASoft and Rubrik, we would like to welcome you to today's podcast, focused around Terry Bettinger, Deputy Director from the Ohio Department of Aging, Peter Vaterberg, Chief of Broadband from the Ohio Department of Development, Sharon Wilhelm, CIO from the Ohio Department of Commerce, and Jeff Fazek, Sales Engineer Leader of SLED from Rubrik. We'll take a look at how agencies are modernizing technology, securing citizen identity and privacy, and enhancing government's responsiveness to Ohioans.
Building a framework for digital government, which is really an exciting thing to be doing here. Improving and digitizing citizen services, we all expect that. It's increased dramatically over the last few years by reimagining the future workforce and leveraging enterprise solutions. Agencies are generating cost savings, probably number one, increasing security. I'm not sure that's number two, but okay, let's call it 1A, and accessibility, and providing more holistic human-centered government experience. This session, our speakers will look at their agencies, tell us how their agencies are modernizing technology, securing citizen identity, privacy, and enhancing government's responsiveness to Ohioans. So I am very pleased to present our esteemed panel here today. Terry Bettinger, she's the Deputy Director and CIO at the Ohio Department of Aging. Hi, thanks for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. Peter Vaterberg, Ohio Department of Development. Thanks for joining us, Peter. Thanks. Excellent. Sharon Wilhelm, she is the CIO of the Ohio Department of Commerce. Hi, Sharon.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And Jeff Fazek, Sales Engineer Leader for State Local Education Organizations at Rubrik. Hi.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have all of you today. So let's start with you, Terry, if it's okay. How are you using technology to improve citizen services and engagement for older Ohioans and their families and caregivers? What are some examples of successful projects or programs that leverage digital tools and platforms?
Great question, Jane.
And you have a great answer, I'm
What a
sure.
great question, yes. So I think, first of all, that's a broad spectrum. There's a lot that can be packed into that. So I'm going to speak very specifically around the Ohio Department of Aging and what we have done and where it's going to take us, right? So with the pandemic, Ohio's, we're the federally designated unit on aging. Sounds great. When the pandemic began, I think it prompted us to move extremely quickly. We had just had a lot of new folks on board. We had a very aspirational state plan on aging. And now the biggest, health crisis affecting the aging population comes upon us. So we, in hindsight, and we were actually just having this conversation, it would have taken me years to create the compelling use cases and business cases and ROIs for mobility, for, some of the data initiatives, for some of the things that we did. We did them out of necessity, right? And so, but we did them out of necessity and with recognition of the value statement ongoing. So some of the things that we did, the pandemic hit. One of the most detrimental health detriments you can have is loneliness and isolation. It's as bad as smoking. So we immediately, as the world went into quarantine, put in place very quickly in less than 30 days, what we called staying connected. And that theme of connectedness, has played out in so many ways and will continue to play out. But in staying connected, we set up a system where anyone could, through multiple channels, I'm going to interject a few things here, 67% of those 60 or older have smartphones. That means 33% don't. So we have to meet people where they are omni-channel to engage with them.